He sounded like he'd won the lottery.
Army Staff Sergeant Joshua Berry was on his way home from Afghanistan to Cincinnati when he called his dad on November 4th, 2009.
I don't think I've ever heard him in my entire life more excited.
The next day, Sergeant Berry had to go to the Soldier Readiness Processing Complex at Fort Hood. Colonel Kathy Platoni, a psychologist from Centerville, was also there, preparing to deploy to Afghanistan with her Army Reserve Unit. All of the soldiers were unarmed.
At 1:34 p.m., I heard a civilian screaming, they're shooting in the other building.
She ran toward the shooting and witnessed a bloodbath.
5 of my friends were carrying in Captain John Gaffney, and I could see that he'd been shot.
Sergeant Berry was in the building next door and sprang into action.
He instructed the other people in the room to take cover and make sure that the doors were secured and told them to stay away from the windows.
Meanwhile, the lack of medical supplies meant his friends could not save John Gaffney.
Captain Gaffney died on my knees, and I watched the light go out of his eyes. Thank you.
When Berry heard gunfire hitting his building, he dove over a desk and separated his shoulder. He survived, but
it changed him forever, and he was never the same person.
The man behind the massacre,
he stood up on a table and yelled, "Allahu Akbar,"
was Major Nidal Hassan, an American-born Army psychiatrist.
And he just fired in a fan-like motion, continuously reloading many times with extended magazines to kill as many American soldiers as he could.
Those who survived say the aftermath has been grossly mishandled. The biggest injustice in their view, continuing to label the Fort Hood shooting workplace violence,
which is the ultimate betrayal for those who were there and witnessed this carnage.
During Hassan's trial in 2013, he admitted shooting soldiers to protect Taliban leaders in Afghanistan from the U.S. military. He was convicted and sentenced to death. That same year, Howard Berry went to Washington and got 225 members of Congress to sign House Resolution 3111.
It was called the Fort Hood Heroes Act. It told the truth.
The bill would declare Fort Hood a terrorist attack and Hassan a traitor and enemy of the United States. It would also grant benefits to the wounded, many of whom have had to pay their own expenses. But Congress never voted on the bill.
I never considered myself a tattoo person, but I needed a way to immortalize my friends who lost their lives.
Kathy Platoni is now retired from the Army Reserve, but still fighting for those affected by Fort Hood. She never takes off her hero's bracelets.
And it has the names of the soldiers from my unit that were killed that day.
Every Fort Hood soldier was given the Meritorious Service Medal, and the Army later awarded Purple Hearts to the wounded and the families of the dead.
To me, this is unfinished business.
Staff Sergeant Joshua Berry took his own life in 2013, one of 7 suicides in the wake of Fort Hood. Though he wasn't shot in the massacre, his father is still trying to get a Purple Heart for him, believing the injuries he sustained that day led to his death.
And all I've asked for, make the award and amend his grave marker, and I'll go away.